Hey there, English learners! Before we dive into this awesome story, let me tell you, this is one of the best ways to improve your English without even trying. Just by listening, you'll pick up real, natural phrases, build your vocabulary, and learn how sentences actually work. So if you love learning like this, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on the bell so you never miss our daily stories. All right, let's jump in. Oliver was a 24-year-old graphic designer from Dublin. He had always loved football. It wasn't just a hobby for him. It was almost like a language he used to connect with people everywhere he went. Even as a little kid, he would beg his dad to let him stay up late to watch Champions League matches on TV. Over the years, he collected jerseys, posters, and even old ticket stubs from games he couldn't attend, just because he liked having a piece of football history close to him. His absolute favorite player of all time was Cristiano Ronaldo. There was something about Ronaldo's energy on the field, the way he sprinted, jumped, and scored with such confidence. Oliver admired his discipline too. All those stories about Ronaldo staying after practice to shoot 100 extra free kicks or doing crazy gym sessions when everyone else had gone home made Oliver feel like hard work could really pay off. So when Oliver found out that his company was sending him to Madrid for a week-long design workshop, he got ridiculously excited. Not just because he loved traveling, but because it was the city where Ronaldo had become a legend. Even though Ronaldo had moved on to play in Italy and later England again, Madrid still felt like his kingdom. Oliver arrived in Madrid on a bright Monday afternoon. The sun was hot, and the city was buzzing with tourists and locals going about their day. After checking into his modest hotel, he immediately went out to explore. Every corner of the city seemed to whisper stories of famous matches, roaring crowds, and dramatic goals. When he walked past the giant Real Madrid store, he couldn't help but go inside and run his hands over the neatly folded white shirts with golden trims. But that evening, something unexpected happened. Oliver was scrolling through his phone in a small tapas bar, waiting for his plate of patatas bravas, when he saw a notification from a local sports app. It said that Ronaldo was in Madrid for a charity event, and even more surprisingly, there was going to be a small private meet and greet for a handful of fans who won last-minute passes. The sign-up link was still open. Oliver's heart pounded. Without overthinking it, he filled out the form, hit submit, and tried not to get his hopes up. Thousands of people were probably applying. Why would they pick some random Irish guy who was just here for work? He spent the next day sitting through workshop sessions on color psychology and user interfaces, but his mind kept drifting. Every time his phone buzzed, he hoped it would be an email saying, "Congratulations, you've been selected." By the end of the afternoon, he was almost embarrassed by how often he'd checked. Then, just as he was packing up his laptop, his phone screen lit up. It was an email from the event organizers. He had been chosen. He actually had a pass to meet Cristiano Ronaldo. For a full minute, Oliver just sat there, staring at the screen, his mouth hanging open. When he finally looked up, he noticed the woman next to him giving him a curious smile. He laughed awkwardly, shoved his phone in his pocket, and walked out into the warm Madrid evening feeling like he was floating. That night, Oliver couldn't sleep. He kept imagining what he would say. Would he freeze up? Would Ronaldo be friendly? Or would he just sign something quickly and move on? Oliver practiced a little speech in front of the mirror of his hotel bathroom, feeling both silly and strangely proud. He wanted to thank Ronaldo for showing him what dedication looked like, for making him believe in pushing limits. The next afternoon was the big day. Oliver took extra care getting dressed, choosing a simple navy shirt and jeans that made him feel comfortable but not sloppy. As he walked to the event venue, a sleek hotel conference center near the heart of the city, he had to stop himself from grinning at strangers. When he arrived, he checked in with the staff, who handed him a badge and directed him to a waiting area. The room was filled with maybe 30 other people, all buzzing with nervous excitement. Some clutched jerseys or posters, while others rehearsed what they would say under their breath. Everyone kept glancing at the doors, half expecting Ronaldo to burst through at any second. A few minutes later, one of the organizers came in and explained how it would work. They would be brought in small groups to meet Ronaldo, have a brief chat, take a photo, and get an autograph. No long personal interviews, just a quick, unforgettable moment. Oliver felt a flutter in his stomach. It was actually happening. When they finally called his group, Oliver stood up so fast he nearly knocked over his chair. He followed a young staff member down a hallway lined with huge, black and white photos of legendary football moments. His heart raced faster with every step. And then they entered a bright lounge area, and there he was, Cristiano Ronaldo. Taller than Oliver expected, lean but powerful, with that unmistakable smile that had lit up stadiums for years. He wore a simple white shirt and slim trousers, looking relaxed but still somehow like the most important person in the room. Oliver's breath caught. For a second, he almost forgot how to move, but Ronaldo turned toward him and gave a small nod, as if to say, "Come on, don't be shy." Oliver took a deep breath and stepped forward. Oliver felt like his entire body was buzzing. As he stood in front of Ronaldo, it was almost hard to believe this was the same person he'd watched on TV all his life, charging down the pitch, smashing goals into the net, raising his hands in that iconic celebration. Up close, Ronaldo seemed even more impressive. His posture was strong and confident, yet there was a calm, kind energy about him that made Oliver's nerves ease just a little. The first person in Oliver's small group stepped forward. It was a teenage boy with a Portuguese flag draped around his shoulders. He beamed as Ronaldo signed his jersey and took a quick photo with him. Then a young woman hugged a signed football to her chest, tears actually welling up in her eyes. Watching them made Oliver's heart swell. This wasn't just a meet and greet. For every person there, it was like touching a dream. When it was finally Oliver's turn, he walked up, legs slightly wobbly, and found himself face to face with a football legend. Up close, Ronaldo's eyes were sharper and more thoughtful than Oliver had expected. They weren't just showy superstar eyes. They looked like they really noticed things. Oliver took a breath and managed a smile. He told Ronaldo how much he'd always admired not just the goals, but the discipline. The endless training stories, the way he never seemed satisfied with good enough. Ronaldo nodded, and with a friendly grin said, "It's all about pushing yourself every day. That's the real joy." His voice was warmer than Oliver had imagined, not rushed, not mechanical. He seemed to truly enjoy meeting fans. It wasn't a long conversation. It was maybe 20 seconds. But those 20 seconds felt like pure gold. They posed for a photo. Ronaldo placed a strong hand on Oliver's shoulder, and Oliver could barely keep from bursting out laughing from sheer joy. The camera clicked. Then Ronaldo scribbled his autograph on a small, glossy photo the staff handed him. Before Oliver stepped aside, Ronaldo gave him a light pat on the back. It was a tiny gesture, but it meant everything. As Oliver walked out of the lounge, he felt like he'd just woken from the best dream of his life. He tucked the signed photo carefully into his backpack, almost afraid it would vanish if he didn't protect it. His legs felt unusually light, like he might just jog the entire way back to his hotel without noticing. Outside, Madrid's streets were glowing in the afternoon sun. Cafes spilled out onto sidewalks, people laughed over glasses of sangria, and musicians played lively tunes that bounced off the old stone buildings. But to Oliver, Everything felt slightly slowed down, like he was seeing it through a special filter that made colors more vivid, sounds more musical, even the warm breeze more gentle. He decided he wasn't ready to go back to the hotel just yet. So he walked aimlessly through the streets, letting the energy of the city soak into him. Every so often, he would touch his backpack to make sure the autograph was still there, then laugh at himself for being so paranoid. He ended up in a small park dotted with bright flowers and wooden benches. Kids kicked a football around on a patch of dusty grass, shouting happily in Spanish. An older man sat nearby, strumming a guitar and humming to himself. Oliver sat on a bench, leaned back, and just watched. He thought about everything that had led up to this moment. All those childhood nights staying up way past bedtime, clutching a pillow while he watched Ronaldo score impossible goals. All the times he tried to imitate Ronaldo's free kicks in his backyard, sending the ball flying wildly over the fence. Even the hours he'd spent lately in front of his computer screen, designing boring layouts for corporate clients, somehow still dreaming of bigger things. Meeting Ronaldo didn't magically change Oliver's life. He wasn't suddenly a pro footballer or a millionaire or famous, but it did something just as powerful. It lit a new spark inside him. Seeing how humble Ronaldo was, how focused yet friendly, reminded Oliver that true greatness didn't come from just talent. It came from relentless effort and staying connected to people. Even after all the fame and trophies, Ronaldo hadn't lost that. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink, Oliver realized he'd been sitting there for almost an hour. A little breeze rustled the leaves, and he stood up, stretching his arms over his head. He felt strangely refreshed, like he'd taken a short vacation from ordinary life. Back at his hotel room later that evening, he propped the signed photo on the little desk next to his laptop. It almost felt like a silent promise between him and Ronaldo, to keep pushing, to keep working, and to find joy in the effort, whatever the dream might be. Oliver ordered some takeaway dinner, then flopped on the bed with his phone, scrolling through the photo they'd taken together again and again. He even set it as his lock screen. Every time the screen lit up, he grinned like a fool. Before falling asleep, he typed out a quick message to his dad back in Dublin, attaching the photo. His dad's reply came almost instantly. Incredible. I still remember when you were 6 and insisted on wearing your tiny Ronaldo jersey everywhere. So proud of you, kiddo. Oliver closed his eyes with a deep, content sigh. Today had been one of those rare days that would stay with him forever. The next morning, Oliver woke up surprisingly early. Maybe it was the leftover excitement buzzing in his chest. Or maybe it was the Madrid sunlight flooding through the hotel curtains, bright and golden. Either way, he felt more awake and alive than he had in weeks. He pulled on a simple t-shirt and jeans, grabbed his phone, and went downstairs. The hotel breakfast was busy, people from all over the world chatting in different languages, laughing over croissants and little cups of espresso. Oliver sat by the window, slowly eating some toast, and kept glancing at his lock screen. Each time he saw that photo of him and Ronaldo, he couldn't stop smiling. After finishing his meal, he decided to take a slow walk through the nearby streets. Madrid was just starting to heat up, but the air still held a slight morning coolness. Vendors were opening their little kiosks, setting out colorful scarves, handmade jewelry, tiny football figurines, and stacks of postcards. Tourists wandered by with cameras dangling from their necks. Kids zipped past on scooters. A few older men leaned against a cafe counter, sipping dark coffee and talking with animated hand gestures. Oliver found himself walking without much of a plan. His mind kept drifting back to the way Ronaldo had spoken about pushing yourself every day. It wasn't a complicated message, but somehow it had landed deep in Oliver's chest. He wandered into a quiet plaza where a small fountain trickled gently. There were stone benches all around, and a local artist had set up an easel, painting the scene in soft watercolor strokes. Oliver watched for a bit, fascinated by how carefully the painter dabbed his brush, layer by layer building something beautiful out of almost nothing. That simple dedication reminded him so much of what Ronaldo had talked about. It was funny. He'd come all this way just to meet a football hero, but he was finding inspiration in so many small, unexpected corners of the city. He spent the afternoon exploring a few local shops. At one point, he even picked up a tiny hand-painted tile that featured a classic Spanish bull design. It was a silly little souvenir, but somehow it felt meaningful, a reminder of this trip that was quickly turning into one of the best experiences of his life. When evening came, Oliver headed back to his hotel to freshen up. Later, he went out again, this time to a casual tapas bar that one of the hotel staff had recommended. The place was lively, full of locals chatting over plates of grilled peppers, spicy potatoes, and crispy calamari. Oliver ordered a few small dishes and tried everything, savoring each bite. At a nearby table, a group of Spanish college students burst into laughter over some inside joke. Their joy was contagious, and Oliver found himself grinning again. It hit him that this was the true magic of traveling, not just the famous sights or even the once-in-a-lifetime meetings with icons like Ronaldo. It was these tiny slices of life in another country, the moments that felt unplanned and genuine. When he finally returned to his hotel room, he felt full in the best possible way, full of food, full of stories, full of new hopes. He took one last look at the signed photo on the desk before crawling into bed. As he lay there in the dark, listening to the quiet hum of the hotel's air conditioning, Oliver thought about what he wanted next. Maybe he'd start going out to the pitch more often back home, just for the fun of it. Maybe he'd finally sign up for that local amateur league he kept putting off. Or maybe he'd pour more passion into his design work, trying to build something of his own rather than always doing boring client jobs. Either way, this trip had changed something inside him. It hadn't made him famous or rich, but it had recharged him in a way he didn't even know he needed. Before drifting off to sleep, Oliver whispered a quiet promise to himself, to chase joy the way Ronaldo chased goals, to keep working, keep trying, keep dreaming, no matter how small or big the stage. Hey there! If you want to learn English in the most fun way possible, stick around. Through these awesome stories, you'll naturally pick up tons of useful words and even some advanced structures, all without boring grammar drills. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you never miss a daily story. By the way, what's the coolest dream you have? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to read it.